4, 3, 2.
Have you approached this project differently to other projects? Have you come into it in a different way? Are you more prepared or less prepared? Or?
No, this time I have a screenplay, which is quite a lot. Unnormal, almost. Took me a whole weekend to write it, and I was quite nervous with that.
Like his films, Aki employs a dark humour which can be a little mystifying when you first meet him. He presents a kind of gruff Nordic exterior, which is clearly designed to keep prying interviewers at bay.
What inspired me? Well, I don't know. Maybe old-fashioned films when there was only maybe one murder and one shot and one kiss. And so I tried to make an old-fashioned styled British, French, American film like they were in 40s, 50s, melodrama, B-movie, dark shadows, bright lights.
With dialogue kept deliberately to an absolute minimum, Aki develops a rather unique relationship with his actors.
What, in general, is your attitude to the actors then? How do you think you can get the best performance out of them?
That's my secret.
I can't persuade you to share it.
Normally, well, I can tell the secret. I never let them act. I mean, shout, move their hands, wrinkle their eyebrows or something, or be melodramatic.
Often, Aki doesn't bother to use professional actors at all, as in his 1988 road movie, Leningrad Cowboys Go America, which starred one of Finland's top rock bands, the Sleepy Sleepers, in the lead role. The story, largely improvised during the filming, follows the hapless adventures of the Finnish band stumbling across the States, learning to play rock and roll in favour of Finnish folk songs. Opening to widespread critical success and audience curiosity, Leningrad Cowboys is Aki's most successful film to date.
Your films are quite popular at the moment in London. They're talked about and written about. Why do you think that is?
Why? Because all the rest of the films made nowadays, because Hollywood is dead, and there's very few who make at least little bit something. They are already interesting. In the old days, my films would have been laughed out. But since all the film mostly nowadays is shit, so even the bad ones are something, because all the rest are even worse.
It seems a sort of mildly negative attitude to have to...
No, I hate my films, that's why.
Why do you hate them?
They are not good enough.
Paskaa. Kuinka niin? Ei kaupallista potentiaalia. Menkää Amerikkaan. Niillehän kelpaa mikä tahansa.
To get a really in-depth, revealing interview out of someone, you have to really do it on their home turf, which for Aki is Helsinki, and so here I am. But unfortunately, Aki isn't here. He's travelled even further north to a remote spot called Sodankylä in the Arctic Circle, where for the past 4 years he's helped to organise the Midnight Sun Film Festival. Sodankylä, here I come. Finland, or Suomi as the Finns call it, is the second largest country in Scandinavia, Almost 10% of the land area is covered by lakes, which are too numerous to count, but are believed to be in the region of 65,000. Nearly three-quarters of the land surface of the country is covered with forest. A visitor is sure to see large animals like elks and reindeer, and plenty of smaller animals like the common squirrel. But the Finland seen in Aki's films is far more realistic. The bleak landscapes of Lapland provide the perfect backdrop to such harsh black comedies as his 1987 movie, Ariel.
Saat sanoa minun sanoneen, että täältä ei tänään leipäsi revi. Turha sinun on tänne jäädä peukaloita pyörittelemään ja nurkkiin kuseksi. Siitä ei tule lasta eikä paskaa. Juot vaan itsesi pilalla ja turhaudut. Tuossa on autoavaimet. Saat sä minulta perintöä, kun olet aina pitänyt siitä enemmän kuin muut. Eikä niistä muista mihinkään ole. Jos ne eivät jää tänne kitumaan, ne masentuvat etelässä ja hyrttävät itsensä. Ja sen minä vielä sanon, ettei tämä touhu minua enää huvita. Mutta ei minusta silti tarvitse mallia ottaa. Paskamaista on tämäkin.
Rakas kuitenkin, ja siksi sen mä talletaan. Lupaukset pettävät, tiedänhän sen. Välittänyt en, olin onnellinen. Muistoasi säilytän vuosien taas. Iltahetkeni se kauan.
This is the Great Arctic Road, north of which lies Sodankylä, my destination. But in Ariel, after his father's suicide, the film's hero takes this very road south to Helsinki and perhaps a brighter future. Unfortunately, things go from bad to worse. He gets mugged at a petrol station and the roof on his white Cadillac convertible refuses to shut. The sort of desperate but darkly humorous events that are typical of Kaurismaki's films. The Sodankylä International Film Festival seemed at first to resemble a kind of weird rock event, with a Russian belly dancer gyrating in the chilly weather outside a big top, where most of the films were being shown. And indeed, the audience were more like a denim-clad rock and roll crowd than the chic and glamorous set that thronged to Cannes. I put it to the festival organiser that a remote town in the Arctic Circle would not be most people's first choice for a festival location.
It was a totally absurd idea by a Finnish film director who happened to be here in Sodankylä and was talking with the cultural secretary, and then very late one night they got the idea that they must have an international film festival here in the middle of nothingness. There are no hotels and no tickets available. It's sold out all the time, so it's very tough in a point that if you don't get the tickets to the cinema, and then you are right here, so you'll probably feel a prisoner. So please nobody come here.
But this is quite bizarre. I've never seen a festival organiser asking people not to come to his festival before.
No, well, it's the Aki Kaurismaki technique that he forbids people to come to see his films. It works very well. So. He became popular and famous partly of that fabulous technique he had in introducing films. He said that this is a piece of shit and started like that every time I heard him say anything.
Do you know Aki well? I mean, do you think that is that all an act, or is that some sort of defence mechanism that he puts up?
It's both probably. It's an act and a defence mechanism, both.
The preferred form of transport in Sodankylä is the bicycle, and what better way to track down the elusive Mr. Kaurismaki than on a Lappish mountain bike? As ever, Aki was trying to give me the runaround, or the bike around, and had a savage haircut in a futile effort to avoid detection. Let me talk about your first movie, which I saw recently in London. I saw Crime and Punishment. inspired by the Dostoevsky novel. Quite an ambitious project for your first full-length film. What made you choose that project?
I chose to fall from high, not from... If you choose you write a stupid script and start from this level and you drop 20 centimeters down. It doesn't really matter. If you go up and draw and fall down, it's more stylish. And also because I read the interview book made by Truffaut of Hitchcock. And Hitchcock said, I would never dare to touch that book, it's too difficult. And I said, I show you, old man. And it was too difficult. Well, it's my problem. But I was young, so it's an excuse.
Mitäs te täällä?
Tulin tappamaan teidät.
Miksi?
Sitä te ette saa koskaan tietää.
Jos te rahaa haluatte, niin kyllä muita löytyy muutama tuhat.
Let me ask you about your next film, Calamari Union. Why was that shot in black and white?
It's a question of feeling. It's always the same that when you get an idea, you get an idea of if it's black and white or color. Some stories are black and white, some are not.
It's a kind of way-out story to Calamari Union. Could you describe the plot for us?
Plot? Just a picnic. Story of 17 men, all named Frank, except one who speaks English, so he has a Finnish name. They walk through the city, but it's a dangerous city, and so they all die or get married, which is the same thing in the film, not in reality.
Two of them get away, I believe, don't they?
Yeah, to Estonia.
Now, would that be your idea of a happy ending, having two of them go to Estonia?
Death is a happy ending.
Now, one thing I noticed in that movie, and also in all your films, really, is that they don't have as much dialogue as many films from outside of Finland. Is that a characteristic of being a Finnish director, or just your personal style?
People talk too much anyway. And also, I used to be a scriptwriter before. And I wrote dialogues, 6 pages dialogues, and then I saw what happens in the cutting table. 5 pages out of 6 are cut away. So I never write more than one page scenes anymore. And anyway, talking is nonsense. There's no sense for that. No reason.
It's apparent from Aki's films that he despises the blandness of modern Finland, the uniform bars, fast food restaurants and supermarkets that make even a remote spot like Sodankylä up here in the Arctic Circle look almost identical to Middle America or any English new town. And nowhere is Aki's attitude more apparent than in his 1986 film, Shadows in Paradise. Set in the less glamorous parts of Helsinki, it's the very simple story of a love affair between a garbage collector and a supermarket checkout girl.
32,70. Teistähän vuotaa verta.
Niin vuotaa, loukkasin käteni.
Laitetaan siihen laastari. Tulkaa mukaan.
He's on the side of underling, that he has a wonderful sense of the marginal things happening in a society and them being essential. And he gives a poetical vision of a working man, which is quite different from anything else I know.
It seems to be something you're quite keen on showing, is documenting city life in Finland, kind of modern life, but in a very realistic way.
Since I have to document it because it's gone very soon. Still I'm showing 70s nowadays. 70s was like that. My films look like 70s, not 80s. It's much more modern and cruel nowadays.
So what is it about the new Finland that you don't like?
Well, it could be anywhere, New Finland. It's Europe. Modern Europe. The same thing is happening in every country.
Iivari, 27. Iivari, 19.
Starts to be American English-speaking supermarket nation nowadays. They are already advertising in English. And nothing against English, but the culture represents American English. I think people should talk the language they have when they're born and not somebody else from the neighborhood. Let's talk about happy things.
Okay, well, let's talk about your next film then, because Hamlet Goes Business is quite happy.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
So why did you don't...
That's a happy ending. Everybody's dead except 2 dogs.
You see, now that's not the way it ends in Shakespeare's version, is it? You kill a few more people than he does.
Yeah, maybe he left somebody alive. I never really read the book. I just read it while shooting, so I never concentrated on the plot too much. But the film is following very much the story. The dialogue is half-half. Quite proud that no audience don't notice when it changes from him to me and back.
Well, I think I noticed one or two. There's a scene when Guildenstern and Rosencrantz have a drink with Hamlet, and they tell him they've seen the ghost the night before, and they just say, "We saw your dad last night," which is slightly different to the Shakespeare version.
Well,
I love my baby, love her all night long.
Mikä suo minulle tämän kunnian?
I know she's happy because she lives.
Me nähtiin sun faijas viime yönä.
That's one of the most wonderful things in Aki's film, that there is this humor and very unexpected things happening all the time. Also, it's very interesting to see how sometimes it seems that foreigners understand better the humor of Aki's films.
What actually inspired you to use Hamlet as a starting point?
a starting point for what?
For your film, because it's not actually a verbatim version of Shakespeare's Hamlet.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is.
It isn't. Nowhere in Shakespeare's Hamlet does he sell rubber ducks.
Tiedän, että ne teistä, jotka muistavat vuosien ja vuosikymmenien takaisia kokouksia, jolloin tämän samaisen pöydän ääressä esiteltiin uusista tuotanto- ja markkina-alueista päätettäessä, milloin uusia paperilaatuja, milloin granaatinkuoria, saattavat pitää tätä kumiankkaa väärään paikkaan eksyneenä tai jopa huvittavana.
Is rubber duck sales not in the book?
Well, maybe not in the version I was taught at school. Maybe I was taught the wrong version.
Maybe in the Finnish translation there are rubber duck business.
Now, it's a comedy. I mean, it's a comedy of sorts, but at the same time, it's very much an attack on big business in its way. So, in some respects, perhaps it could be seen as one of your more serious films.
Yeah, it's not a very funny comedy. It's quite unfunny comedy. It's very serious. I think life is a serious thing, so you have to, when you walk here on the earth, you have to be serious all the time. That's why I prefer to make serious films. I hate people laughing. They make such a noise. It goes in my ears. That's why I never laugh myself.
Meanwhile, back at the film festival, one of the non-cinematic highlights was undoubtedly the late-night tango dancing arranged by Aki in a municipal car park. Aki regularly features tangos in his films and gets about as excited as you're ever likely to see him when it comes to spreading the word about the true origin of the tango.
Tell me about the Finnish tango then. Why is that so different to tango elsewhere?
There is no tango elsewhere. Argentina has a copy of Finnish tango, but it's quite okay for Argentinians, but not generally. It was born here, tango. It was imported to the United States, and then it went south to Argentina, and then they brought it to Europe. And they're pretending that tango was born in Argentina.
Another couple of beers and Aki would probably have tried to convince me that the blues come from Finland too. But not wishing to offend, I felt it only right to take the plunge and swing around the car park in true Finnish style. Late-night drinking parties were another important feature of the festival, and the Finns' huge alcohol consumption is almost legendary. Not surprisingly, bar scenes play an important part in all of Aki's movies.
Now, I've interviewed you about 3 times now, and you're a very hard man to get the measure of.
Piece of cake.
And I'm sure that's a deliberate thing, Aki, because you're a very defensive man.
Me? Yeah. Maybe. You have to form your own opinion.
Seems a very unusual line of work, though, for a man who's doesn't seem enormously at ease talking about himself, to do something as personally revealing as make films the way you do.
What does it mean, the word revealing? What does it mean, revealing?
Hello. Hi. We are a rock and roll band. Can we play here?
Sure, help yourself.
50-50.
Okay.
You don't move the camera much. You tend to lock it off. Why is that?
Because very often I make the camera tries myself. And if you have a hangover, it's quite hard work to push the camera. During the years, it's just forgotten.
I think that's a very unsatisfactory answer, to be quite frank with you. I suspect there's a little...
No, it has to be, because it's truth.
But there must be some sort of stylistic considerations there, aren't there?
What is style?
Aki's style grows perhaps from the simplicity of his ideas, and what some critics admire most is Aki's ability to take that to the point of extremity, almost boredom, as with Leningrad Cowboys.
Leningrad Cowboys, that is, starts with 5 of the best minutes of Finnish cinema ever done, and then it goes so loose that you get you're mortally bored by the film, and then in a way you get fascinated by the film that it is so frank in being boring, and it, in a way it questions the whole way of doing commercial cinema, because it's so final in its.
Do you think that's necessarily a merit, or is that perhaps rather indulgent that he should test the limits of an audience's boredom in one of his films?
Yeah, I think it's great, and it functions. I mean, that it's crazy to see that the film is shown in London and in Paris and in other big places. For me personally, I think there's no doubt that he is the most talented Finnish filmmaker at the moment, and highly original filmmaker.
The reaction has been too polite, in my opinion. It's well, it opened in France 2 days ago, and I heard it's going well, but I'm sure it will be lousy in the end. Since nobody can make such a bad film without a punishment.
And what do you think the punishment will be?
Maybe a bullet in the head. What is this thing here? It's a head. Yeah, head.
Now, are you always looking on the bright side like that when you make a film? Or?
Yeah, of course.
Well, let me talk to you now about the latest film that you've completed, The Match Factory Girl. First, what is the pronunciation of that in Finnish? It's Tiko Tetekinetito.
Well, just insulting Finnish language.
How would you say it?
Tuliko tehtaantu.
Well, that was quite close, wasn't it?
Quite.
True to form, The Match Factory Girl has a very simple and straightforward plot, looking at the bleak life of a woman in Helsinki trying to find happiness and fulfillment down at the local dance hall. It was being shown for the first time at the festival.
So what did you think of The Match Factory Girl?
I thought it was really good. I've seen it before, and I like his films. All his films.
What about this one? What did you like about this one in particular?
I think every picture tells something. He hasn't any picture that's not telling anything.
Yeah, and he shows say, the underclass world, their lives, and so you can understand them. It's Finnish.
it's the Kaurismaki spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're quite alike, but they're all as good as each other.
What other things they have in common? What do you think is in that film and in his other films that you could say this is a Kaurismaki movie?
It's some kind of insane social realism.
He presents a depressing picture of working-class life in Finland, and some scenes, like this one when the Match Factory Girl and her new boyfriend have tea with her parents, is almost painful to watch. But even Aki was forced to admit that he liked this picture.
Match Factory Girl, it's hard to pretend I don't like it, because it's the first film I didn't feel ashamed when I saw the print.
Iiris on ihan kohta valmis.
It's quite okay, quite. Big quite.
Well, the audience liked it this afternoon.
Audience is full of masochists.
Tell us, what did you think of the film?
I think it was one of Aki Kaurismaki's greater ones. I liked it, but it's very... I thought it would be more depressing than it was, because everybody had told me that it was so depressing, but it wasn't actually as depressing. It was a very Finnish film.
Well, what about it do you think is there that makes it Finnish?
The drinking, and the tangos, and the fondness of being lonely.
Jäitä.
Rejected by her lover, the heroine finally wreaks her terrible revenge. She pours rat poison into his gin and tonic, and shortly afterwards, her parents meet a similarly grim end.
Drink seems to be quite an important part of your life.
No, it's not important.
But it seems to be ever present.
No, with good friends sometimes I might take a glass of wine or so, but I don't drink. I mean, I never drink in a way that to get drunk. I never in my life I would have taken a beer alone.
So why do you drink as much as you do then?
I don't drink.
You do drink?
Me? Why, you tell me.
Well, I drink as well. I'm not saying
you do
that.
Drink?
Yeah, I drink quite a lot.
Why?
Because I enjoy it.
You enjoy it?
But I don't drink as much as you do.
I don't drink.
You do drink?
Have you seen me drinking?
Constantly.
No, it's beer number 1, which is anti-alcohol beer. I like beer, but I don't like beer with alcohol.
So when people talk about you as a hard-drinking director, as a man who drinks a lot, are they mistaken?
Yeah, it's a dirty lie.
Now, say, for example, if that lie were the truth, just hypothetically, what do you think that would say about you?
I don't care.
Well, just for the benefit of an argument's sake.
All right, sometimes I take a beer without company, too. It's very easy to get a reputation of a man who drinks a lot. Okay, I can drink you under the table, no problem, anytime. But it doesn't mean that I drink a lot. I never, for example, drink when I'm working. When I make a film or write a script, I never drink anything. So my wife don't like the reputation I have as a hard-drinking man.
So I'll say maybe we can end this room with you as the suicidal drinker.
Yeah, I have to die sometime. So, when you're drunk, you don't have to suffer too much for dying, in a way.
Thank you.
Don't bother to thank me.
Well, someone's got it.
Yeah, just buy me a beer.